I wear a mask in the ocean. 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 Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of New York City, Season 12, Episode 22, The Reunion Part 1. Well, this is the first in-person reunion that Bravo has had since March. We start off by seeing the cleaning crew spraying down the chairs that the ladies are going to be sitting in and getting everything disinfected. We see Ramona arriving to the set first, or I don't know if it's a set, it's a warehouse that they're in. And she has a very interesting, dare I say, Hannibal Lecter-esque type mask on. It is hard plastic and it's clear and it clips, it just goes around the ears like you put a pair of glasses on. In theory, I like it because you can see a person's full face and, you know, I think that would be good for lip readers. I'm just not sure how effective it is, you know, since it can't like form a seal without killing her. You know, it has to be letting air in, so I don't know. We learned that it was designed by one of her 50 friends. And no offense to Ramona's friend, I don't know her. But I wouldn't be shocked to learn that it was designed more to show off your beautiful face and not smear your lipstick than actual public safety. To be fair, I'm not sure some of the other ladies' masks were made in accordance with the CDC guidelines either, so. Anyway, they're all stepping out of the cars and we're getting kind of first looks at them. Ramona looks like she had a little glow up. She does look younger and prettier. Her hair is really blonde, but she's wearing a very plain black dress. It's flattering. She looks great, but it's, I don't know. For a housewife, I think it's a little boring. Next, we see Tinsley, and, you know, she looks like Tinsley, basically, a 45-year-old Disney princess. She's got a black, sparkly, full skirt, and, you know, she's cute as a button. Dorinda gets out of the car next. Dorinda's is probably my least favorite of the night. She looks like an aging figure skater who's trying to hold on to the glory days by still dressing in some of her old costumes. I don't know, there's something about it. That's not fair. I actually like the top half of it. The bottom half confuses me. It's either too short or too loose. It's kind of a strange little, like a skating skirt, I guess. Side note, it was funny to me that when she got out of her car, she said, "I'm in a happy mood." Yeah, that's going to last for about 5 minutes. Luanne is next, and Luanne has a mask of who else? Her own face. I mean, it's kind of funny, but also it's so Luanne. She also has a kind of understated black dress. Again, she looks beautiful in it. I actually really like the dress more than I like these, you know, really glitzy housewife dresses, but it is a little understated in housewives terms. It does have a trim, I think, that's sparkly. She looks very, very pretty. I like her with her hair a little bit longer too. Side note, you guys, as soon as Ramona sat down and started banging her straw into her plastic mask to try to get a sip of water, I knew I had my thumbnail for the week. So we don't see Leah and Sonya until they walk into the room. I saw Leah's look on Instagram before, so I knew what to expect. This is probably my favorite. It's just black, but it's sheer and it's in different layers. And what I like about it is it's very visually interesting to me. To be fair, it's mostly see-through, but because it's layered on top of layers and some of it is going in one direction, some's going in another direction, I found it really interesting. It also has matching fingerless opera gloves and a matching mask. This is one that I questioned the safety of this mask because it's sheer. It's made out of the same sheer fabric. Side note, I just read something where They said that if you can blow out a candle while you're wearing your mask, it's not good enough. They were saying a lot of those neck gaiters are just not thick enough to be really effective. And I'm going to guess that's probably the case with Leah's mask. Finally, we have Sonya's look. I have mixed feelings about this, guys. She looks beautiful. I know I've talked about that a million times. She quarantined in a spa and she looks great. She lost weight. She had a facelift. She had a neck lift and a lower facelift or something like that. But also she's got a fresh haircut. She's trying to channel Ellen Barkin, I guess. But yeah, she looks really pretty. The dress, meh, it's okay. She looks flattering in it. I don't love this bejeweled top half of the dress here. It looks really heavy. And when she was wearing her mask earlier, the mask was very ornate, just dripping in crystals. The two were fiercely competing with one another with that chest armor of the dress, and no one came out a winner in that battle. I didn't think they went together. I wasn't feeling either one of those. Okay, so all the ladies have walked in and now they've found their seats. They're wearing their masks when they sit down. They're allowed to take the masks off once they're seated. And they are in separate chairs, which are at least 6 feet apart. They look like they're about 10 feet apart. And then, probably during a break, they took this selfie. Yeah, they do realize that then all those other safety measures are pointless, right? I'd rather they just be sitting on couches now. So dumb. Side note, I don't know if where you're seated in proximity to Andy is a barometer for how important you are, but Leah is right next to Andy. It's a weird configuration this time. Not only are they a mile apart from each other, but it's Andy, then Leah, Dorinda, Ramona, Luanne, Sonya, and Tinsley in like a big half circle. But Andy's not in the middle of that, which I think is really weird. There's also like a bunch of area rugs thrown on top of each other in the middle. And I don't know, I guess they're trying to create warmth in this warehouse, but it's hard to do when there's like a football field in between every person. Andy and Sonya are so far apart from each other, I think he may still have to call Sonya on Zoom. Anyway, after all the hellos, we start to talk about quarantine. He asks them if they all left the city during the quarantine. And Leah said no. What did she say? Oh, I think she said she was on Long Island for 5 weeks and then she was in the city. Ramona was in Florida with Mario and Avery. Her best friend, Avery. Luanne said she's very busy. I'm still working on my cabaret show, even though there is no cabaret show. She's also still working on her memoir and Viva la Diva. So the first viewer question goes to Leah. I do think it's telling. Hey, she was my MVP for the season, so. And one of you guys said that Elise was your MVP. Elise definitely a runner-up for me too. I would not be unhappy if Elise were to become a full-time housewife next year. Anyway, the question to Leah is about this rant that she did on Instagram about one of her castmates who spent time in Florida and then came back to New York and didn't quarantine and is not taking any of this seriously. The question is, who were you referring to? Oh my God. Even Ramona thought that was dumb. She goes, well, obviously she's talking about me. But she is wrong because I took every precaution. Leah goes, yeah, you're lying right now. Her point was more about Ramona being tone deaf anyway than it was whether she was wearing a mask or not. She just hated all the selfies and the pictures of her having fun with friends and drinking in Florida when everyone in New York was on lockdown and people were dying and they couldn't see their family members. Anyway, you guys know what it's like. To prove Leah's point, we see a little, I guess on her Instagram stories of her and Avery doing turtle time and having, I don't know what, pina coladas or something. Side note, I'm not going to go off on a tangent here because I've already gone on for too long and we're still at the very beginning of the show, but also because I have mixed feelings about this. I think people can easily get overwhelmed by how bad things are and only seeing tragedy and horrible posts and somber, depressing things. And as long as you're being responsible and careful and you're doing your part to care about the people around you too. And by the way, I'm not saying that Ramona did this, but I think if you have done that, I think people need a little levity, a little laughter. It doesn't mean we don't care. It doesn't mean we're not taking this seriously. It just means that maybe some people recognize that mental health is equally important. And sometimes mental health can aid physical health getting better. The opposite is true as well. So that's why I have kind of mixed feelings about this. I'm filming this video right now on 9/11. And many people, maybe even you guys, have posted reminders on social media, memories, things like that. Well, Erica Jane posted a picture of herself as a young woman in New York City, and the Twin Towers were standing in the background. It looks like it was probably taken not long after she got to New York City, possibly during her Shaker days. But she was posing and smiling, and someone attacked her for being flippant about 9/11. They said, "This isn't time for a photo shoot." And then they demanded that she take down the post. Now, love her or hate her, this was not meant as a slap in the face to New York City. This was her memory. This, I believe, was her remembering possibly her love for the city. It didn't feel disrespectful to me, and I know she didn't mean it to be. Who remembers earlier when I said I wasn't going to go off on a tangent?
I'm not gonna go off on a tangent here.
Sorry. My point is, let's just be easier on each other. We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. And we are collectively, as a city, as a country, and as a world, we are going through something hard and uncertain and different than we've ever been through before. It's been a bad year, and I just think we could all use some forgiveness and understanding. Can I erase everything I just said before? Because now Ramona would like us to believe that she got up every morning at 4 o'clock to catch up with the news of the day and then go on to live her best life. People say I was inspirational. The camera pans over to Leah and she's like, but then Leah says, "You lied about donating your blood." What? Ramona says, yes, she did. Oh, okay. So here's Ramona's timeline. Let's go through it together. In February, she had a sinus infection and she thought she was weak because of Lyme disease. So she also had Lyme disease? In March, she went to Aspen and she got better while she was in Aspen. Then she went to Florida. Can we assign a contact tracer just for Ramona? Because I feel like that might be a full-time job. She was under quarantine for 8 weeks in Florida. So this is like April, May. Then in May, Boca Beach Club opened up. And I'm a member, so I was allowed to go to the beach and play tennis. Well, they had a lab there, and that is where they tested her, and she had the antibodies. My doctor figured out that when I had Lyme disease and a sinus infection, I also had COVID. She said that her doctor said she was very strong. Sonya goes, "You sound like a walking petri dish." Leah says something about Ramona not thinking the rules apply to her. And Ramona just gets really mad and she goes, "I was allowed to come back, bitch." Yeah. I think she's been hanging around Sonya too long. That's Sonya's new phrase. Oh God, it gets worse. Dorinda now says that Ramona was at Donald Trump Jr.'s party, and right after that party, it came out that his girlfriend tested positive for COVID. Ramona said it was outdoors and we were 6 feet apart, and I only stayed for an hour. I believe the leaving after an hour part. That's pretty much Ramona's MO for any party. Dorinda said, yeah, but that's not the point. The point is, nobody's supposed to be at large gatherings like that. Then Ramona just starts chanting, I don't have the virus. I don't have the virus. Luanne goes, I thought you did have the virus. Ramona, in February. Andy goes, just so you know, you can get it again. I'm afraid I'll get it again. Sonya, and you can get it from your spit, especially if you're swapping spit with Dubin. Oh, God. Harry Dubin again. She was seen with him at the Breakers, and she's been seen here with somebody else and there with somebody else. I mean, she really doesn't seem to have been hindered by COVID-19. I guess she posted something at the beach and didn't have a mask on. Now her chant has changed. I don't wear a mask in the ocean. I don't wear a mask in the ocean. Next, we move on to Leah. We talk about how this is her rookie season, yet she came out of the gate running, and everything that's going on with her. We get a whole package of everything she's done. We find out that Sarah Paulson and John Oliver are in love with her, and they've said glowing things about her, and on and on and on. It's been a great first season for Leah. Andy then asks all the other ladies what they think of Leah, and basically, the general consensus seems to be that they admire her for all the same reasons that they didn't like Tinsley. She's strong, she's confident, she knows who she is, and, Tinsley makes the point that when she first came on the show, she was like at a very low point in her life, and that's true in her defense, I guess. We talk about Leah's tattoos and the vagina wings. That, she leads us to believe that there's a very interesting story behind the vagina wings. There isn't. She was like 17 years old. She was high on some kind of hallucinogenics. She thought she had purple wings. So the next day, she just knew she had to get a tattoo of that. And she thought, the back, that's too obvious. So she went with the vajayjay. Okay. Was there more to that? She tells us she's not drinking now. She said that she didn't drink for almost 10 years. And then the spring before she even knew she was going to be on the show, she started drinking again. So she didn't start drinking for the show. That was really sort of just a coincidence. But she has no regrets about it. And she said, if I'm going to drink and act crazy, I'm glad I did it around these ladies. We now get a montage of the ladies drinking this season. It's not great for Dorinda and Sonya, though Luanne and Leah get their turns as well. The montage triggers Dorinda. She's trying to say that Ramona's out every night. And Ramona said, I don't drink when I'm out. I drink water. That's why I'm so thin. Only Ramona. Dorinda, you're not that thin. Now Dorinda's saying that Ramona called Leah a whore, and Ramona's vehemently denying that. I never said that. What is wrong with you? You're disgusting. Go to church. We talked to Luanne about her drinking this season. And there were a couple of scenes that, when she saw it back, she was not happy about. She says she knows when to reel it in and that she's got a good relationship with alcohol now. I don't know, guys. That just scares me. I don't know that I've ever known someone who's gone through what she's gone through, been through AA, and now comes out on the other side and they're able to drink occasionally. I don't want to say, I don't know enough about it personally, but that scares me. A question gets asked of Dorinda. I think it's from a viewer. Why are you so defensive about your drinking? Wow, you guys, she really does deflect. like crazy. Almost every time she twists the answer to blame Ramona. There really is a lot of animosity between the two of them. She says, I don't know, I guess I just find it accusatory. I mean, I try not to point out all the men that she sleeps with when she goes out all the time. What? This is what I'm talking about. What does that have to do with your drinking? She's working hard. Dorinda is working hard to get herself out of the hot seat. Andy says, when you watched it back this season, does it make you question your relationship with alcohol? Dorinda, yes, of course. I think we all question our relationship with alcohol. This isn't about everybody else, Dorinda. The question was for you. But she can't. She cannot do it. If she is able to accept blame for something, it's only if she can also blame everybody else for doing it too. Otherwise, she just will flat out deny she did anything wrong. She says she thinks it's stress related. We end up talking about Sonya's drunken sailor situation. Andy goes, you were really drinking Coca-Cola and rosé? Sonya's like, yeah, well, I mean, I was looking for any solution. And Andy goes, that sounds more like a problem than a solution. God, it just sounds so gross. Anyway, she realized that when she upped the diuretic, that's when things started going crazy. Like, that's when she fell off the chair last season in Miami with Bethany when they were getting in that fight. She noticed it when she walked into Luanne's Halloween party this year, when she saw these things back and she saw how out of it she was. It was because they upped her diuretic. I don't know, a water pill doesn't seem like it would have this effect, but she said she stopped taking it immediately and that you noticed that next day when they were kind of celebrating her birthday at the restaurant when they were in Mexico, she said that she was fine. You know, she was drinking, but she wasn't so out of it. She said that it like slowed down her motor skills. That's why she was like slurring and talking crazy. And he said, Dorinda, you questioned whether it was the water pills that was the culprit. And Dorinda goes, yeah, well, I take those same pills. I've been taking them every day for years. Red flag, anyone? Why is nobody saying, why don't you try not taking them and see what happens? Okay, now it's time for Tinsley. We get the whole flashback package for her. Dorinda giving her an ultimatum at the tea party. I saw you with Scott, so you tell them or I'm gonna tell them. Like they have some absolute right to know her personal information. I mean, yes, you could say, you're on this TV show, you're getting paid to show your life. But why did Dorinda make it her job to hold Tinsley accountable for telling every aspect of her life? Ramona didn't do that. Sonya didn't do it. Luanne didn't do it. Why did Dorinda take it upon herself? So mean. Anyway, all the ladies seem genuinely happy for Tinsley with her engagement to Scott and moving to Chicago and getting her fairy tale ending. Dorinda, of course, is the exception to that. She's not saying a word. I think I understand a bit more what the issue was with the ladies and Tinsley. I think I'm understanding both sides of it a little bit better. Tinsley was going back and forth with Scott, I guess a lot, making up and breaking up and making up and breaking up. And the ladies were getting a little tired of it, and maybe Tinsley wasn't taking advice. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I guess it got to the point where they didn't want her talking about it all the time. And then when she would get back with him, she felt like she couldn't say, I'm back with him, without getting attacked. So then on Tinsley's side of it, she said she felt like she couldn't tell them when she saw Scott or when she got back with him or about her eggs or wanting a child because she was being judged. So she kept it to herself. And then the ladies accused her of not sharing her whole life the way they have to show their whole life on this show. So, I mean, I kind of get that. Tinsley was asked about whether or not she left the show for Scott. And she said, no. If you're asking me, did Scott make me leave? No, he did not. But I left because our relationship is better without this show. So yes, I chose Scott over this show. Dorinda now chimes in for the first time since Tinsley started talking. And she said, he met you on this show. Now he hates us? That's crazy. Well, she didn't exactly say that. And also, I can understand that. Yeah, he met her on that show. I'm sure he's happy he went on the show because he met his new wife. But I also think the show can be a lot. And for somebody who didn't necessarily ask for the limelight, I think it can be too much. So I get it. Anyway, Tinsley said I chose Scott over the show. And Ramona goes, I don't blame you. Andy said, Ramona, if you started dating someone new and they didn't want you to be on the show anymore, would you quit? Ramona goes, if he's going to put a ring on it, absolutely. And then Andy goes, you too, Lou? He must have seen her nodding her head. Oh, yeah, for sure. Hey, I left a career in Italian television for my first husband. It's at this point that Andy notices Sonya is putting hand sanitizer on her legs. Sonya says, yeah, well, guess what? They need a little shine. Guess what? That's going to dry out your skin. And I doubt it's going to give you a little shine for like a second, maybe. Now we come back from the final commercial break with a montage of cruelty from Dorinda to Tinsley. And you know what, guys? Seeing it all at once in a montage, oh, God, it just highlights how vicious she was to her. And to Tinsley's like a baby fawn. I don't get it. It ends with the famous, when they're at the bar and Leah tells everybody that Tinsley's with Scott and they're going to get married one day and she's going to Chicago to be with him. You guys all know this already, but Dorinda said, that's great. I've got a turkey baster. Maybe you can try and have a baby. It was just so uncalled for. But even worse to me was how she was congratulating herself for that. I don't know. The level of how funny she thought that was maybe speaks to her level of lucidity at the time, because that was not funny. Andy said, I assume you two haven't spoken since then? Tinsley said, no, of course not. Dorinda, I think Tinsley's only spoken to Leah. Again, it can't just be that Tinsley's not talking to Dorinda. It's got to be, well, it isn't just me. She didn't talk to any of us. Maybe just Leah. She did it again. Deflecting again. Deflinda. Andy said he thought that the turkey baster, she did apologize, but how sincere, I don't know. And Andy said that he thought that comment was mean. Dorinda. Luanne laughed. Do you see what I mean, you guys? It's always like if I'm bad, other people are too. So Andy had a child through a surrogate and IVF, thought that comment was mean. Well, Dorinda can't take that on by herself, even though no one told her to say it. That was her comment. So very quickly she has to point out that Luanne laughed. So if you're mad, Andy, then you should be mad at both of us, you know? She can't be the only one who's wrong. So then the question comes to Dorinda. Dorinda, what is your problem with Tinsley? Dorinda tells us that there was a lot of stuff that went on and stuff that wasn't on the show that we don't know about. And here's why Tinsley's on the reunion. She said, what happened was, after we were broken up, when we were in Miami, season 11, the Miami trip, you and I got in a horrific fight. She's saying this to Dorinda. And it wasn't on camera because I had told you that Scott very generously had given money to John. Yes. Juicy. Apparently, Dorinda did not know about it, and Tinsley thinks that she somehow turned her anger onto Tinsley because she felt betrayed by John. Tinsley goes on to say that the producers didn't even want her to stay in the house that night because Dorinda was going off and acting crazy, and they were afraid for Tinsley's safety. Dorinda, of course, denies any of that, and it's all, I don't even know anything about John's finances. That's kind of the point. You didn't know. That's why you were upset. No, that's not why she was upset. She was upset because her boyfriend borrowed from Tinsley's boyfriend. It could have been any other man in the world that he borrowed money from, but it was Tinsley's boyfriend. And in some way, that gives Tinsley a leg up on her, and it embarrassed her. And I get it. I get all of that. I really do. But don't come after Tinsley. It wasn't her fault. You knew what you got into with John Pedestrian. Anyway, like I said, Dorinda denies all of it. But we are gifted with some unseen footage. And it goes a little something like this. You don't run a game behind my back, John. Ever. I don't want you to talk to Scott. He's not your friend. So when I say to you, don't do something, you better f***ing wanna listen. What a gem. What an absolute gem. And bravo, you were holding on to this since last year. I want a job editing Housewives. Because I just want to see the stuff that doesn't make it on the show. Sonya was like in the shadows listening to that whole conversation too. Anyway, back to the reunion. Tinsley's now, feeling herself. And she says, I have done nothing to you to warrant this level of hatred. Your jealousy, your obsession with my relationship. Hey girl, I'm engaged. I'm getting married. So you can move on. Dorinda's best line of the night comes right now. Tinsley, I hate your life. Tinsley gets the final word of the night and she goes, pfft. She's obsessed with it. It was another really good part one, I thought, of a reunion. Anyway, that is it for me, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't yet subscribed to Jill Informed, please consider doing so. It means a lot to me. It helps my channel. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have something to say about this episode, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, I'll be back next week for part 2 of the reunion of the Real Housewives of New York City. I'll see you then. Bye.